Now, Pakistan's new Foreign Minister Bilawal Bhutto Zardari is in the United States. And on his maiden visit to the US as External Affairs Minister, Bilawal raked up the Kashmir issue at the United Nations Security Council. Now, India has issued a stern rebuttal to the unsolicited comments from Pakistan's Foreign Minister. Pakistan's newly appointed Foreign Minister referred to the inaction of the United Nations on Kashmir. Bilawal Bhutto went on to call abrogation of Article 370 in Jammu and Kashmir illegal. Under Article 370 of the Indian Constitution, Jammu and Kashmir had a special status until 2019. And India responded to Bilawal's comments at UNSC open debate by slamming Pakistan for sponsoring state terrorism. It has also been reiterated by India that the union territories of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh were, are and will always remain an integral and inalienable part of India. This includes the areas that are under the illegal occupation of Pakistan. Further adding that no amount of rhetoric and propaganda will change this fact. Bilawal Bhutto held a conference at the United Nations where WION correspondent Susan Tehrani asked him whether it was time for Pakistan to reach out to neighbour India for a dialogue. Bilawal Bhutto gave a list of reasons for not doing so anytime soon. He raised the Kashmir issue all over again, saying that the ties are particularly complicated by measures taken by India in Kashmir. Listen in.
Thank you, Mr. Foreign Minister. Susan Tehrani from WION. Do you think it's time that Pakistan reached out for dialogue with India? And also, my second question is, after your meeting with Secretary Clinton, just to follow up on that, what you just mentioned, do you think that Pakistani-U.S. relations has had a reset in a way?
We are very cognizant of the fact that economic activity, dialogue, diplomacy are ultimately the ways and means for countries to engage with each other and resolve disputes. I just note that particularly at the moment, given this aggressive, hostile behavior, the practical space for that happening is very limited.
And for more on this, our correspondent Siddhant Sibil is joining us live from New Delhi. Thanks, Siddhant, for joining us at this hour. Now, Pakistan's Foreign Minister Bilawal Bhutto Zardari has raised the issue of Kashmir at the United Nations Security Council, and India has now slammed these comments. Can you take us through India's stance on this?
Well, first, talking about India's stance, India has said that what it has been saying for a long time, stated India's policy of basically Pakistan, if it takes Jammu and Kashmir, it does get slammed. And of course, reminding Islamabad that Jammu Kashmir is an integral part of India. It will remain so, and Pakistan needs to act on terrorism. But was it a surprise that Bilawal Bhutto, in his visit to US and to United Nations, raked up Kashmir? Well, it wasn't a surprise for the Indian government and, of course, the people who are following the visit, because this has been the standard protocol for the Pakistani establishment, whosoever is in the government, whether it's PTI, whether it's Imran Khan, whether it's the PPP. Of course, the foreign minister is from the PPP party, that's People's Party of Pakistan. But largely, if you look at what has been happening since the new government has taken over, there has been a subtle change, essentially with both sides writing to each other. We saw prime ministers of both the countries writing to each other, and also Pakistan side appointing a trade minister, Minister Trade at its mission here in Delhi. But does it mean that there will be talks soon? It doesn't look given the fact that Pakistan goes to election in a year's time, and it will be kind of a political suicide for the establishment there to have a completely U-turn policy against India, what Imran Khan has been doing, because that will make sure that Imran Khan uses that against the current establishment during the elections which are due to happen very soon.
Right, now follow up to your answer. How do you see the diplomatic relations going forward between India and Pakistan with the new regime in power now?
Well, if we talk about the diplomatic relationship, there is, in fact, no relationship because there was a downgrade in the relationship after the 2019 developments. India rigged up the special status for the erstwhile state of Jammu and Kashmir, and Pakistan, in response, cut off people-to-people relationship, suspended railway links, train links, and since then there hasn't been any movement. So when it comes to diplomatic relationship, it is up to Pakistan, the Pakistani establishment, to reverse these actions which they have taken, because what India has been saying, that whatever India has done in terms of Jammu and Kashmir is its internal matter, and Pakistan response was something that Pakistan did. So it's up to Islamabad. So next big thing is going to happen perhaps at the SCO, when the meeting happens, when the summit happens, and if the in-person summit happens in Uzbekistan, because last year the summit happened virtually, then we can see the Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif and the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi going there, and will both sides will have even a pull-aside meeting, is something that can be drastic in terms of what's happening in the relationship for last 2 to 3 years.
Well, thanks, Siddhant, for getting us up to speed on this story. Thanks very much.